2 official weeks off only because of this holiday. People eating paper so that their wishes come true? Or maybe children wearing ugly makeup to scare away ghosts and spirits and to get sweets from the neighbors? I think that all of it sounds super confusing because some of it can remind you of Halloween, other things, I don't know what they can remind you of, probably nothing. But this video will be about winter holiday season in Russia. This is the first video of this holiday series that I'm publishing in December. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for more videos. So the first video will be about my home country, Russia, because New Year in Russia is the biggest celebration of all, biggest celebration of the year. Everyone loves this holiday, everyone is preparing for this holiday. So in this video, I want to talk about some historic facts, how it started, how it's going, why we don't really celebrate Christmas and stuff. So if you're interested, please keep watching. The New Year celebration takes us back to the 18th century, to the ruling of Peter the Great. He was the one who brought this custom, this tradition to our country because he was really fond of Europe, and he brought really many customs, traditions, and like new things from Europe at that time to Russia. When the calendar was changed in 1699, this holiday was on January the 1st. Of course, the main symbol of the celebration was Christmas tree. You can imagine that for local people, Christmas tree as the main symbol of a New Year. In the beginning, it was a bit weird because those fir branches, they were used to decorate like pubs where people like drank alcohol, etc. And those fir branches and the tree itself didn't have like a very good reputation because it was associated with those pubs, with drunk people, and to lie under the fir branches, it meant that you are drunk and you are wasted. And in the beginning, of course, people were skeptical about this symbol, but then I think it got accepted because, well, we can see it even now. Later, the same century, Catherine the Great decided to add a little bit of glamour to the celebration, and she started to hold masquerade balls. Another good tradition appeared later in the end of 19th century. Those were New Year's cards. It became like a tradition to exchange those cards with your family, friends. Such famous artists as Vasnetsov and Repin, they were like one of the first artists who made illustrations for the postcards. However, during the USSR, like first years of the USSR, of course, the religion was banned, so we are not even talking about Christmas. But even New Year celebration was banned because, well, Soviet people need to work and stuff like that. So the celebration was banned. But then Stalin was like, okay, well, people are working hard. Maybe we need to give them like some kind of holiday or something like that. So they brought back this New Year holiday, and Stalin became such a symbol of this holiday, like Santa Claus, like in America. So he was a Santa Claus who brought gifts to children, and when he died, luckily, well, we got our old grandfather Frost, like the Russian Santa Claus, back, and I think everyone was happy. And during Stalin times, they also banned postcards, and after he died, postcards came back, and I don't know, in Russia, or you can find like really big variety of those postcards, like vintage postcards, and they are so beautiful. Oh my god. So Christmas tree returned, postcards returned, New Year celebration returned, and finally Russian Santa Claus returned. And the Russian Santa Claus is called Grandfather Frost, which is a literal translation from Russian Ded Moroz. Snegurочка, or the Snow Maiden, is the second main character for the New Year celebration. Grandfather Frost and the Snow Maiden usually come to different celebrations at school or at kindergarten to congratulate children, to give them gifts, etc. And even adults can invite those two characters to join their party. So there is no age limit. I think now I will talk about how my family celebrated New Year, and I think that our traditions might differ from other families. If you also come from Russia and you have different traditions, share them in the comments below. So for us, apartment decoration started at the beginning of December, so we decorated our apartment, we decorated the Christmas tree, and it's also very common for older generations to decorate Christmas tree with Soviet ornaments. They are quite nostalgic nostalgic about it. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, Soviet ornaments, they suck. But now I also feel quite nostalgic about them, and they cannot be compared to the modern ornaments that are plastic, and like there is no soul in such ornaments. Like Soviet ornaments are super beautiful. So we decorate our apartments, and usually vacations in school starts on 28th of or 29th of December, and teenagers and children, they have like winter ball where they perform a play like a fairy tale, like New Year fairy tale. They have party, and then they have like 2 weeks vacation. This vacation is official for students like at university, at schools, at kindergarten, and also for people who have this usual 5-day work week. If you work in shifts, then well, unfortunately you will work on the new year. If your shift comes on new year, you have no choice. But yeah, again, 5-day work week, then 2 weeks vacation in the beginning of January is yours officially and paid. When I moved from Russia to China, then to Latvia, it was a big culture shock then that you need to go to work right after New Year, like January 2nd or 3rd. If it's like Monday, then welcome to work. I mean, like, what? Please give me my holidays. And in other countries that celebrate Catholic Christmas, you have your days off, like, or vacation around like 25th of December, but we have those days and even more in the beginning of January. And for like usual people, like adults, their vacation usually starts on 30th or on the 31st of December. And on the 30th of December we start cooking. Like my family started cooking together, so salads, they are the main part of this New Year feast. Chinese calendar is also very popular among Russians, and for example, if it's the year of pig, then you cannot cook pork or eat pork in any kind during your New Year feast. And my grandmother usually knows all of these things, like what you can cook, what you cannot cook, or what you should cook to have, like, I don't know, some luck next year. And also actually influences like in colors of clothes that you should wear to meet the new year, because in Russian we have the saying like, how you meet the new year, this is how you spend it. And that's why like in my family at least, we usually dress up, we put makeup on, we have this table full of different dishes, etc. So we are like very festive about this holiday. So on 30th, all the family cooks the salads together. Then on the TV, if you turn the TV on, then you will see some Soviet movies. Then on the 31st of December, we still cook, I think, until the very night, because the celebration in our family, we usually started it at around like 10 o'clock at night. I know that some families start celebrating New Year earlier, like at 8 or at 6 in the evening, but we were about like, well, 10 o'clock, it's all right. Friends came to our house, our family members gathered together at this time, so we sat at the table, beautiful, dressed up with makeup on, full table of food, and we also had the TV on with some Christmas or New Year TV shows. So you eat, you chat, you dance, and you wait for the midnight. During the midnight, there is another tradition that the head of the government gives a speech and congratulate people and wish like a happy new year. And this tradition started in 1976. At that time, it was during the USSR, so the head of the Soviet government, like a party, they gave a speech. But funny thing happened that one year, our local Madonna, like whose name is Alla Pugacheva, gave a speech, and I personally prefer watching this speech, especially after recent awful events. Well, I do not watch our president's speech, but I watch her speech, and like this tradition is important, but with this like amazing person like Alla Pugacheva, it's even better. Then after the given speech, the main clock on the red square, they are shown to hit the midnight, and during this last seconds you need to write your wish on the paper. Then you burn this paper and you put the leftovers of the paper in your glass. Then you pour champagne in your glass when the clock hits midnight, and you drink it. Most often you need to eat some paper because the paper isn't burned like completely, and you need to eat it anyway for your wish to come true. And when I grew up, you know, with this tradition, it was okay for me because it happened every year. But when I started to talk about it to my foreign friends, it's like, oh my god, that sounds really weird. Like, if you've never done this yourself, well, it's quite weird, but this is what we do, and I still keep doing this because I don't know, it's just a tradition that I really love. So the midnight hits, the wishes are eaten, and we can go outside and celebrate the whole night.
Смешно, я не могу. Смешно, да? Чехол, чехол.
My parents went to the main square to meet their friends, maybe other relatives, etc., to hang out together. And for me, as a teenager, it was the best night ever, because obviously, like when I was 16 or even 17, I wasn't allowed to walk during the night. And the New Year night was a special night because I could walk all night, hang out with my friends, and coming back home in the early morning. So it was amazing. I met my friends, we hang out, and I usually came back home like 3, 4, or 5 in the morning. On January 1st, we woke up very, very late. The usual thing is to eat chocolate gifts that are very famous in Russia, and those Grandfather Frost and the Snowmaiden usually bring them to you. If you're an adult and you have children, your employer usually gives you those chocolate gifts so that you can give them to your children. I usually had many, many chocolate gifts under the Christmas tree. So on starting from the January the 1st, it was like a movie time when you lie on sofa all days, watch some New Year movies like Home Alone or Harry Potter. You can go outside in the evening to go skating with your friends or something like that. But I think like minimum like 3 or 5 days, you just chill at home or watch different movies. But then during this 2-week holiday, another important holiday comes. Well, it's not as important as New Year, but some people still celebrate it, and I'm talking, of course, about Christmas. Of course, the celebration dated back many centuries ago, and before the New Year celebration came to our country, obviously local people celebrated Christmas, etc. Usually people fasted because like they're religious or the Orthodox Church, so they fasted during Christmas, and that's why the feast, it was usually meatless, and it included 12 different dishes, one of which was Lenten bread, kutia. I was really shocked to find out that kutia was a part of this Christmas feast, because nowadays kutia is usually eaten for some funeral events, like, you know, when a person dies and then there is an event for family and friends, and usually you eat kutia. And in my mind, in my head, it is associated only with funeral and someone's death. It's quite weird. I'm also surprised because, well, in my family we celebrated Christmas sometimes, but not as big or as much as New Year. And in years when we really celebrated Christmas, it was so much fun because again we got together with family and friends. Well, the feast was less big, but the traditions are genuinely magical, because like during this time, I think Christmas, if we look at the history of this holiday, is very similar to Halloween, because in Russia it has those pagan traditions. And for example, one thing that we did as kids was trick-or-treating. So it's how like it's very weird, and I don't understand why some people in Russia, they're like, oh, you bring that Halloween in our country, it's like a devil's holiday, but literally we have the same custom for Christmas. Come on, people. So yeah, it's another story. So we as kids dressed up in some ugly clothes with ugly makeup. It was quite cold, like I think 10 years ago winters were much colder than now, and it was full of snow. So we went outside to go to neighbors to sing some carols and to get money and sweets. And also that ugly makeup and ugly clothes, it was used to, you know, to scare away some evil spirits or ghosts. So it was so much fun, and I don't know why people now do not follow this tradition. I think in some smaller villages they do, but in bigger cities, I think now it's not common at all. Another very interesting tradition was the fortune telling or future telling. So there were different rituals that you can follow to find out something about your future. And one thing that we did was, you know, you can take like a bowl of cold water and the candle. The candle is burning, and you pour some wax on into the water, and you get like kind of an image. And you can, I think you can Google what every image can mean. For example, if you see, I don't know, a tree, a dog, or whatever whatever you see there, it can mean certain things. And if you check out it on the internet, like, you can have some future talent for yourself. Another funny thing that we did was throwing a shoe into the middle of the road. So you throw it like from the front behind you, so you don't really see where you are throwing it. And the first person to pass your shoe will be your boyfriend or husband. Well, I do not believe in such things. Like the candle thing is more trustworthy in my opinion, but that shoe thing is just for fun, because you see a person passing, you're like, haha, my future boyfriend. So yeah, it's so much fun. At the times when we really celebrated Christmas, it was magical. But again, nowadays, well, I do not celebrate Christmas on my own. I sometimes call to my grandmother and she's like, today's Christmas, do something. But yeah, for my generation, the main holiday is still the New Year. For me, the New Year is always about friends, about family, being together. Unfortunately, I do not live in the same country with my family anymore, and gathering together with family is quite complicated. So the last, I think, 2-3 New Years we spent with my husband only together during COVID, and then after the war started. So like those were quite lonely New Years. But this year, finally, we are coming to Serbia to see our Russian friends, and we will celebrate this holiday together. However, this is not it. Those 2 vacation weeks are over, and there is the last celebration that I think is the weirdest for those who haven't heard about it before. So basically, we are celebrating the Old New Year. Yes. Oh my god, I imagine how it sounds, but the thing is that we just do this. So after the change of calendars, the previous New Year comes on January 14th. And that's why we just decided to have another holiday to celebrate the Old New Year. And it's not about, among people at their homes, but it's also on TV, like today is the Old New Year, let's celebrate it. So it's like the last celebration during this winter season. This is how we pass like the biggest celebration in the country. So let me know in the comments below if you've heard like similar traditions with your country. That would be really interesting for me to read. And please don't forget to subscribe, because more videos about winter holiday seasons in different countries are coming. And if you're interested, then you can always subscribe and stay tuned for my videos. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Goodbye.